Okay, let's go, man. So let's talk about Pistons. You know, one of the teams is interested in Anthony Davis, along with the Atlanta Hawks and the Toronto Raptors. It was a play I seen on social media when Anthony Davis got hurt 2 times on the same play. We talked about the contract. I think he got, about 3 years left. Two with like 50 plus million and one with like 63 million. Player option. He'll be about 36, 35 at the end of the contract. He just can't stay healthy. Usually the older these players get, especially in a game like football, basketball, football too, the less healthy they get as they get up there. So ideally, when you talk about all the potential suitors that you have as far as where they at on the fit scale and elite players, you talking about Giannis, Anthony Davis, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, John Morant, Trae Young, who else may be made available? You start just talking about those guys that's made available. LaMelo Ball. Anthony Davis is like one of the best. Laurie Marketing. He's like legitimately the best like basketball fit. But the caveat is that he can't stay healthy. When you start looking at Anthony Davis, you get a guy that can play with Durant because he can stretch the floor. He can shift to the 5. He can guard one-on-one. He can guard off. He can block shots, protect the rim on and off the ball. He can stretch it out enough to shoot it, to be a, good enough shooter. He could take over a game and score a bunch of points. So yeah, it's a great fit, but the issue is durability, man. So when you start talking about the durability gap and then how much it comes with the salary, you start looking like, hey man, unless the price is very, very low, Marketing, Trey Murphy, you start looking at PJ Washington, you start looking at other guys that may fit the bill a little bit better. They may not be Anthony Davis, but they're younger, durable, steady. They're going to do what you need them to do, defend their position, stretch the floor out, shoot the shot, and maybe do a little bit of things time to time. Maybe they can win you a game in the series here and there by getting hot, But, for the most part for Anthony Davis, the conventional wisdom was that, maybe he may try to go back home to Chicago, a little bit older, more mature. He can deal with it. But my biggest gripe is that he hasn't seemed to be able to make an adjustment that works for him to be more durable. So, if he goes to Atlanta, do they try to get Trae Young in that deal? I think Atlanta may be done with Trae Young. The Raptors, I don't know, a lot of picks. They're a good basketball team this year. Ingram got out of the twilight zone in New Orleans. He balling. Scotty Barnes balling. So Toronto was one of those teams that, we talked about them in one of the videos I did. There was an article that I think Ellen Kellister wrote on Piston Power where he said that you don't want the Pistons to be like Toronto Raptors, whole bunch of high price contracts and not as many wins. Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly. It might have been a few other guys, but it's worked for him. It's worked for him. So it's hard to get to, talent to Toronto. So it's worked for him and, it's paid off. Scotty just needed a little bit of help. And, Brent Ingram was the perfect fit. Emmanuel Quickly, he balling up there. So they win in basketball games. So, and they right there in, the top of the East. So shout out to Glorilla, keeping Brandon Ingram happy. So it's worked out for them. But usually those gambles usually don't work out. But AD, go to any of those teams, only question going to be his durability. What is he not doing? And I don't understand why NBA players don't lift heavy weights. And I don't mean it have to be body, power lifter heavy, but heavy enough. I think that's the disconnect. They doing resistance bands and I seen Jokic deadlifting 130, 135. Like, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? Like, there's no resistance. You know what I'm saying? You got to lift weights for the body to be able to take that pounding that it takes every night on that hardwood floor, and it takes on the, the bumping and the boxing out and the physicality of it. But it's a risk, and if the reward is, if the price is low enough, that's the question. Is the price low enough? That's the $1 million question. Is the price low enough for you to take that risk? Atlanta got deep playoff dream runs. Toronto got deep playoff dream runs. Detroit got deep playoff dream runs. So you make that run with Anthony Davis, and then when you need him, he ain't there, and you gave up a lot of capital. That's the problem, But then again, if you get him and somehow he stays healthy, But for the most part, I would be more interested in Gafford if I'm some of these teams. Clay, veteran mentorship, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie, they've always been injured. They've always stayed injured. So, but yeah, I feel them. I mean, I get it. The risk is the risk. If the price is right, the price is right. You start talking about, Danny Ainge setting the price extremely high for Lloyd marketing. But then, if you start talking about Anthony Davis and they go a different route, then maybe you can land PJ Washington. So then maybe you can land PJ Washington. So, who knows? So, but yeah, me personally, if you're talking about Giannis, AD, and some of the other things, like I said before, I like a Trey Murphy. I like a PJ Washington. I like a CJ McCollum. I like a Zach LaVine if you can get an effort that can be there. I like those fits. I even like a Lloyd marketing, for the right price. You know what I'm saying? And, Anthony Davis, I understand it. Kyrie, I think it's another great fit. I just think AD, what he brings defensively and offensively, I think that's what Trajan Langdon is looking at as far as worth the gamble. But they got to find a reason. You got to find out why this particular dude can't stay healthy. Get him on the lifting training regimen. That's what I would get him on. But then again, he is one of those guys who was a late bloomer, 6 foot, 6'1", 2 point guard in high school. Then he shot all up to like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". So maybe his limbs and his body ain't never really handled that sudden growth spurt. So, but ultimately, I think it's a gamble that I wouldn't take. Ultimately, even if the price is low, I don't know if I would take that gamble. But hey, that's just but it's going to keep coming up. So, I mean, we're going to keep spitting on it. But hey, hit the link in the description. Follow me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch. Check out Detroit Pistons to our playlist for more videos like this. If you hit that link tree, it's the first link in the description. You can literally find me everywhere. I'm going to start to try to remember to start pinning it in the chat. Wherever I'm producing content at, main channel, Free Game 89 channel, all my social media. If you want to donate to the channel, that's there. The best way to donate is thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you girls and guys think about IB on the way in my Magic Johnson voice. And what y'all think about him going to the Hawks or the Toronto Raptors as well, too, which would be rivals. Peace.